Welcome to the Make and Design Podcast. I'm your host, Carina Gardner. On this podcast, we're unraveling the everyday joys and dilemmas of design, making, and business. For makers who want to be designers and for designers who are makers, this is your inside scoop to help you grow your business and bring more creativity to your life. Today, I want to talk to you guys about flow. This is a subject that I think creatives talk about once in a while. We don't talk about it all the time, but I think when you are creative, that there's something that we can get into called flow. And I know there are actually some great books out there on it. But today I wanted to focus on talking about how I get in the flow and how it has changed over the years. And the reason I'm talking about it is because at the beginning of my design career, I designed very differently than the way I design now. And so I think depending on where you are in your design journey, or if you're not a designer and you're listening to this and you are a writer or an influencer or whatever creative field that you are in, that there is this thing that can really be a wonderful thing for your skill set. So it's so interesting because I just watched Disney's Soul on Disney Plus a few months ago, and they talk about flow, and when you get in the flow, then like their soul goes somewhere else, you know? If anybody has watched that, you guys know what I'm talking about. I had always heard it described before as a state in which you are unable to perceive time and you are just in a state of creation. So that's sort of what I think of it as. And it does make, if you're a planner like me, it does make planning sometimes a little bit difficult, right? If I'm like, okay, I'm going to take this 2-hour block and I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. Well, when I get in a flow state, I just want to keep working. Like I kind of just am in my creative zone and I know what I'm doing and I just want to get there. And sometimes actually, you guys will have to tell me if this happens to you at all, but like sometimes for me, it's really hard to start it. Like, so sometimes I have to sit down at my computer. I have to write down my first thing I'm going to do. I have to tell myself I am only going to open up the document that I'm going to start illustrating. I'll say, actually right now I'm designing a fabric line and I don't know, I'm having regular barriers, right, to design. So like, I have to tell myself like that I'm not designing a fabric line. I have to tell myself I am opening up the document that I'm going to be designing in that day. So I open it up and then I say, it is okay if all you do, Carina, is design one little thing or one little swirl or one little thing. And almost inevitably, the moment I get going, I start down that road of flow. Now, I think flow state can be a lot of different things, right? So like you can be in flow for a very long time and just have no perception of time. And then sometimes I will be designing so fast, I'll be in it and it's only been 10 minutes. And I've designed something so quickly. And like when I snap out of it and I look at my clock, I'm like, oh my gosh, no, like I did that really, really fast. So I think it can go either way. I think it can be a really fast state where you're producing really quickly and short spurts. And I also think you can have long periods of time. Now, maybe like an author of flow would disagree with me, but I know that's just the way it is for me. Sometimes I will start something like a fabric line and I'll be working on that one thing. Or the other thing I'll work on is like a paper for a scrapbooking line. And I will sit there and I will start building the pattern out and it will just come to me so quickly. It'll be a complicated pattern, but it will come so quickly. And once I hit the end of the project, I hit the end and I'm done. And sometimes I'll move on to the next thing rather quickly, especially if it's in like, you know, a package of things like for a paper line, if I was doing the paper and it suddenly came really quickly, suddenly I'm like, oh, I'm going to make a quick dot. I'm going to make a quick geometric. I'm going to make a quick, and then I'm starting to produce really quickly, right? So this is what I want to say about designers, especially starting out. I was thinking about my design suite members. Most of them actually already have a lot of artwork. And so maybe they have a great flow state in their artwork, maybe not. But something else we can get flow with is production work. And I think we think of it as such a grueling thing, like getting everything ready to either go to press or getting everything ready so it goes into an online shop. And that I actually think you can get into a flow state as well, especially if it becomes assembly line. Where you're just produce, and you just like are so honed in that you can produce. I know I get that way, especially with, I've shown my Design Suite members like very specifically how I do my sticker sheets. And it is, I know now it takes me exactly 3 hours to do 7 of these. I do them very quickly, and I have an entire routine for it, which kind of helps with the flow state. It's not like a total like creative flow state, right? But it's almost like I've built this like habitual routine. So maybe that's totally different. I don't know. I'd actually be curious to see what people say about that. Like, is there really a difference between flow state and creating some kind of routine that's so habitual that you just like can produce, and your mind isn't 100% there. Like you're just kind of doing the thing. And I know, especially when I'm picking the colors or trying to decide how it's going to look, like that actually feels more flow state to me than it does like the routine. So I don't know. I'm throwing some things out there into the universe that I'm actually curious what other people think about. And maybe I need to read up more about it. So I was going to say at the very beginning of my design career, when I designed, I had to have full concentration on whatever I was working on. And I think that had so much to do with the fact that I didn't know my programs as well. Whereas now I've been in the programs in Illustrator and Photoshop and InDesign for so many years that I don't feel like I need to think about it, okay? So I think your flow state or the way you work as a new designer might be a little bit different than maybe a designer who's been working like I have for 14 or 15 years and designing. Because now when I design, I actually have to have a little bit of white noise. And that used to not always be the case. I actually almost get a tiny bit bored, I think, when I'm just designing straight, unless I have something going on in the background. Usually a podcast is actually the best. I'm on Marco Polo a lot with my friends and sisters, and so I'll have Marco Polo going. I also will usually put on a show that I've already seen before. Rarely, I don't really like watching shows that are new because it makes it really difficult. I'll do it, but it's not my favorite. I actually prefer to put on something I have seen several times. And then that way it just creates that little bit of white noise to like occupy that piece of my brain that is not being used. And the rest of it can go towards the designing. If any of you have had this, I'm actually curious because that is something that I found that quite a few designers have. We need a little bit occupied with some kind of white noise. Okay, so I'm going to tell you my favorite shows to watch. And when I say watch, I mean really listen to when I'm doing it. And most of these have several seasons, and that's why it works so well. Well, I shouldn't say, like, I also will watch movies. So, Gilmore Girls, I don't know why. Gilmore Girls is like an absolute favorite of mine. I can listen to Gilmore Girls while designing like it's nobody's business. Like, I think because there are so many words and they're talking so quickly, I think it helps a lot. So I'll have that going on in the background. Plus there's like not a lot of flashy scenes. And so it's just, I don't know, it's very comforting to me as I'm designing. For movies, I love any romantic comedy, but my favorites are Sleepless in Seattle, You've Got Mail, and Something's Gotta Give. The other one that I will watch a lot while I'm designing is Under the Tuscan Sun. It's just like, I think when you find some of your favorites that like kind of work out nicely, and you'll notice a lot of them, I don't want to say that they're not masterpieces, but there's like enough interest there and enough funny there but like, it's just not like over the top, you know? Okay, other shows I will rewatch. I'm trying to think some of my favorites or ones that I've done recently. I have been known to rewatch this is going to be funny to you guys, like Chinese and Korean soap operas. And so then I just have words going on in the background. I don't even know what they're saying because I don't know any Chinese or Korean, but I love those soap operas. I will not watch a new one, but I will watch an old one. And two of my favorites that I have done is Eternal Love on Netflix and Love 020 also on Netflix. So those are a couple of ones if you ever want to get into Asian soap operas. My mom got us into those. All my sisters and I watch them. Let's see. Other ones that I really like. I'm drawing a blank at the moment. If I opened up White Collar on Hulu. Chuck, which I don't even know where you can watch that anymore. Anyway, you get the idea. Find your favorites, rewatch them. It's to me like just having that little bit of white noise in the background really helps me as I'm designing. So hopefully you enjoyed that. Now you guys know a little bit more about me, the things that make me go. I'm like trying to think of other ones, but of course I don't have my phone open in front of me telling me all the things I've recently watched. But the list is quite funny. All right, you guys. You guys know where to find me if you guys are looking for more on my courses, things that are all designy. You can go to carinagardner.com and I will see you there. Hey, did you know that you can visit me at makeanddesign.com to learn more about this podcast and join my VIP group for weekly freebies? I can't wait to see you there.